immunity from prosecution has claimed his cousin confessed to the triple killing at an Auckland RSA. A High Court jury heard the claim today from a key Crown witness at the trial of William Bell and Darnell Tupe. The witness is Tupe's cousin, who admitted destroying evidence in the case. John Stewart has more.
The man in the witness box is the cousin of the accused Darnell Tupe. Today, Roy Smith told how he had been with Tupe at this hotel near Auckland Airport and counted money, allegedly, from the RSA raid. When he saw the newspaper 2 days later, Roy Smith started to suspect his young cousin and his mate, William Bell, were involved.
I asked him outright, "Is this yours?" And he went, "Yeah." I said to him that if you better turn yourself in, or you better go and see the police. And if you don't go and do something about it, I'm gonna tell on you. And those were my words.
William Bell lived nearby, and Mr. Smith said Bell was soon wanting to know some answers.
"What did you do with the gear?"
Who said that?
Well, he said that to me, and I just said, "Oh, it's still in my boot."
What did he say to that?
And he just said, "You can better get rid of it."
After his realisation of the full horror of his cousin's possible alleged involvement in the RSA killings, Mr. Smith told how he went into panic mode about the evidence that was still sitting in his car boot. He says one part of him told him to get rid of it, but another part told him not to.
Pitifully attempted to try and get rid of everything, and that's me.
Mr. Smith told the jury how he disposed of the keys to a car Bell's alleged to have stolen from one of his victims. He threw them into a pond and then tried to burn incriminating clothing, the butt and hand grips from a gun. John Stewart, One News.
And tomorrow, Roy Smith will face a lengthy cross-examination by lawyers for the two accused men.
Fast food giant KFC is in trouble again with the Consumer Affairs Ministry after selling underweight bean salads. KFC's parent company, Restaurant Brands, has been fined $13,000. The ministry took action after a customer complained and found underweight bean salads at several Auckland outlets. KFC was fined for a similar offence 5 years ago.
The country's biggest supermarket operator has announced plans for a new banking service next year. Foodstuffs, which operates the New World and Pack and Save chains, is joining forces with Sydney-based St George Bank. It aims to provide a full range of banking services.
We will ensure that we're competitive, not only on price, but also on the total value offering in terms of convenience and locality and trading hours and all those sorts of things that we bring to this joint venture.
Initially, the bank will only be available over the phone and internet, but Foodstuffs says effectively there'll be about 500 branches at its stores.
Fletcher Forests has revealed it could lose its lucrative management contract for the controversial Central North Island forests. The company told its AGM that annual profits worth $15 million could be wiped out because the forest receiver had called for outside tenders.
To lose that contract. We are doing everything we can to ensure that we get it.
Fletcher Forests has already written off around $1.4 billion because of the failed forestry venture, and many sell some of its own forests to raise money. But on the share market, Fletcher Forest share price rose a cent after announcing plans for a $50 million share buyback. Fletcher Building is up 15 cents on its anticipated strong result. Telecom again the lion's share of the market turnover, and Baycorp stabilised after yesterday's huge plunge. Strong recoveries for both Fisher and Paykel stocks after recent losses, and Tourism Holdings is up 9 cents after telling its AGM it expects to pay an interim dividend of 3 cents a share. All that saw the SE40 halt its week-long downward slide on turnover of $89 million. And on the currency markets, the Kiwi dollar is stronger across the board.
There's new proof linking a daily glass of wine or beer with an increased risk of breast cancer. And British researchers say there's more chance of getting the disease from regular drinking than smoking. The study is the biggest ever undertaken, examining the health records of 150,000 women around the world. It's found that of the 40,000 cases of breast cancer diagnosed in Britain each year, there'd be 2,000 less if women stopped drinking.
Back here, an emergency meeting of the Christchurch City Council has voted for a booze ban in the inner city. It'll give police the power to stop any drinking in a public place on Thursday, Friday and Saturday nights. The ban won't affect outdoor dining, but it's designed to cut back on petty crime in the city. And the vote for it was unanimous.
I am sick of the crime. I'm sick of the violence. Please do something. Now, here is our opportunity to get in and do something.
There'll be a month of public consultation, and then the council hopes to have the ban in place by Christmas.
But plans to police the country's wineries are upsetting some of the country's smaller producers. Legislation's being drawn up to help protect the reputation of our wine and monitor its quality. But as Tom Fraser reports, some winemakers say parts of the new bill are draconian.
Michael Brakovich calls it a throwback to occupied Europe. The plan for wine officers who'd have the power to enter his Kumeu River winery, remove paperwork, wine samples, even halt production.
The Nazis imposed a bureaucracy on the wine producers in France, and the men in charge became known as wine furors.
The wine officer idea is just one of several in a bill which is aimed at protecting the integrity and reputation of our wine. Growers say there is a need for more controls, but some like Barry Johns are worried they'll be spending all their time in the office.
It's all leading to what I would term a heavy-handed bureaucracy.
He'll be forced to prepare a substantial management plan for his Waipara business, keeping detailed track of every procedure from planting to production.
Additional paperwork is just going to be, in my view, so onerous that some small producers could be forced out of business.
Exporters already face strict regulations.
We have records at the moment where we have to record where the grapes are from, how many tonnes are picked, all the processes that go on, and those are audited on an annual basis. And that, in my view, is perfectly adequate.
But the industry says the bill's in its early stages only, still to go through a select committee.
The regime that's established must work with them, it can't work against them, and it certainly can't put people out of business.
Our wine exports are expected to reach $700 million in the next 4 years. The question is how much legislation is needed to ensure our wine stays in the limelight. Tom Fraser, One News.
Later in the news hour, the Australian disaster that's blowing our way.
But ex-John Mitchell keeps his word.
That's right, the All Black coach is testing another new combination for the match against France. Plus, there's no inch given as the heavyweights slug it out on the Hauraki Golf. And rioting Indian fans force the abandonment of their side's latest one-dayer.
Tonight on Homes at 7, as you kill, so you will be killed. The threats from Osama bin Laden to allies of the American war on terror. As Takahar begins to steam towards the Gulf, does New Zealand need to reassess our involvement? The Prime Minister is with us live and will go to Australia also tonight, cross live to Australia, which is specifically warned, of course, in the bin Laden tape. We'll speak to the opposition Foreign Affairs spokesperson, Kevin Rudd. Homes at 7.